Welcome to Journal of a Himalayan Yogini, Part 2, Letting Go of the Past. Dedication. This book is dedicated to my earthly parents, Isidel Henry Watson and Waldron Watson. The divine connection of two souls that brought me into this world. I am eternally grateful for the love, compassion, kindness, strength, perseverance, every single thing that they instilled in me from such a young age. I continue to feel guided, protected, and supported by their divine energies in all that I am. So thank you, Mama and Papa. I promise to never give up. Introduction. From the time she began exploring working from home in early 2015, she was able to walk away from the 9-to-5 lifestyle completely in January 2016. She made a promise to herself that she would do her best not to return to a quote-unquote corporate job, and would do whatever it took to continue working on her own terms. The freedom was exhilarating. She had the time freedom to do whatever she wanted, whenever she wanted, with whomever she wanted. Even though she was making a tidy sum compared to her past few working jobs in the real world, she squandered most of this income on going out to parties, living on takeout food, even when her cupboards or refrigerator were filled with food, buying unnecessary things and making uninformed investment decisions. She was also living above her means. This young adult knew nothing about passive income or even investing to ensure a better future for herself financially. She got by. However, this took working 4 to 5 freelance jobs at a time. Within this period, she once again got involved with roller coaster, which, as you can guess, didn't turn out well in the long run. And so soon they were off again. During one of the off again periods with roller coaster, her mom was diagnosed with lung cancer. With her time flexibility as a freelancer, she became the one out of all her siblings that would accompany her mom back and forth between Montego Bay and Kingston for doctor's visits or hospital stays. This spanned a period from around June 2018 until October 2018, when her mom transitioned peacefully at home. Around this time is also when she met the man she later married. Let's call him the Fox. They were introduced to each other via WhatsApp by a close family friend who thought that they would be a good match based on their similar interests at the time. The first few conversations between them were a hit, and soon they were talking to each other every single day over the phone. From their first introduction over the phone in July of 2018 to meeting in person a few weeks later, everything seemed like it was meant to be for them both. And in September of that same year, the Fox popped the question on one of her visits to him in his hometown. She gladly said yes. Most of her family and friends were elated at this union, as they knew the struggles and heartache she had faced over the past couple years. There were only a few concerns from a few about how quickly they were moving. So, within the period of dealing with both her parents getting more and more ill by the days, they moved in together and began to plan their wedding. They also started their own business together, which thrived beautifully. Things finally seemed like they were looking up for her until one afternoon when she was home enjoying a day of bliss with her new fiancé. One of her brothers called her to give her the news of her mother's transition. She still remembers to this day how she screamed and fell to her knees. After her mom transitioned, she fell into deep depression. With this period of depression, she began to overeat and pretty much bury herself in work, which was not difficult to do, as in addition to the start of the business partnership with the Fox, she was still working 3 of her freelancing jobs. Soon, the distance and emotional isolation between her and the Fox began, and sometime during this chaotic period of her life, she once again turned to roller coaster. This time, the affair with him was an emotional one, as he knew her so well. At least so she thought. He would always know what to say or do to comfort her or bring her back to herself. Eventually, the Fox found out about this emotional affair she had going on with Roller Coaster, and she decided to let go of Roller Coaster once more in order to preserve her relationship with her husband-to-be. Soon, she was feeling like she could continue with life once more. Her relationship with the Fox felt like it had mended. Business was experiencing wonderful growth, and she felt like she had returned to some kind of balance in her life. Now, the wedding date was set. It would be a glorious day, the beginning of her favorite season, spring, March 21, 2019. This was until her father's health started to deteriorate at a faster rate. The stress of the constant back and forth with her family members about her father's health was enough to reduce her to nothing, but she didn't allow it to. This time, she found the strength to stay above water. She focused on the business and her freelance jobs, tried her best to stay happy and keep her health in check. And even though there were periods of failure, weakness, overeating, and even once again getting emotionally involved with Roller Coaster, she was able to hold it together. That was until the night she got the call from her sister that her father had to be rushed to the hospital. She hardly slept that night. She wanted to go to the hospital the same night, but she was just so tired. The following morning, she was on the way to the hospital as soon as she could. On her way there, she just couldn't shake the feeling that she was too late. She received yet another call from her sister on the way, but she kept her words vague as to what was happening. But then one of her brothers called her. and without him even confirming it, she knew what she feared was true. As she got to the hospital and was led into the room by her family members that were already there, she saw her father in a way that seemed to be burnt into her memory. They had made several resuscitation attempts on him, and so his chest was high. His throat was full of tubes. And as she looked at his lifeless body laying there and grabbed his hands, she fell to her knees when he didn't squeeze her hand as he usually would have done. He was gone, and she didn't make it in time to tell him goodbye. The guilt she felt from that day and several months after was crippling. If she had just went to the hospital the night he was taken there, she would have been able to speak to him one last time. Her father, Papa, as he was affectionately called by not just his children but everyone who knew him well, transitioned on March 14th, 2019, just 1 week before her wedding date. The Fox inquired whether she wanted to put the wedding off or not, but she declined to do so. However, if she had listened to her intuition, she actually would have postponed the wedding. It took her several weeks after the burial of her mother, Mama, in November 2018 for her to begin writing again. However, it was soon evident. The more she wrote, the better she felt. Herein lies the personal journal entries from that period of her life, where she dug herself out of the depression that seemed to want to swallow her once more after the death of her parents. Prior to getting married, journaling had become almost non-existent, especially the time from she began working from home onwards.